guys, Eva here, and today I am filming what I watched in the winter 2019. So it's a wrap up of all the things that I have watched. I did one for fall, I link it down there, but yeah, this is basically all the things, movies, TV shows, comedies, documentaries that I watched throughout winter. And I will divide them by categories and I will give them a rating from 1 to 5, like if they were books on Goodreads. I will start with the comedies. I watched many during like January and then kind of none for the rest of the winter, but whatever. The first one was Rick Gervais' Humanity, it's called. You can find it on Netflix. It's around an hour long, I think, and it's, you know, if you know him, you can decide if you want to watch this or not. For example, I like his humor, so that was a good one for me. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.75 stars. I really laughed, and I think although he comes out a little bit like, I don't know, although he has kind of an attitude that I don't always appreciate, I can still grasp the meaning of what he's saying, and I can still agree with many points he makes with humor. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Then I watched Chris Rock, Tambourine, and this is also on Netflix. All the comedies that I watched basically on Netflix, and I gave this 4.25 stars. This was a lot about, like, he talked a lot about his family and his divorce, and I never experienced any of his comedies before, so this was an introduction to him and I really enjoyed it. Another one that I had a good hour while watching it. And then I watched Ellen DeGeneres, Relatable, and unfortunately this I didn't like. Like, I like Helen, like her TV show. I don't watch it often, but sometimes, like on YouTube, you can find bits and pieces, so I tend to watch those parts. So I never watched the whole episode, but I really enjoyed her there, so I thought I was gonna love these. Unfortunately, I didn't. I think I really admire her as a woman. Comedy, it's more like a piece of life instead of like jokes after jokes. So I don't know. I didn't find it funny, basically, and I kind of like wanted to skip to the end. I kind of found it boring, but not because of her. I still admire her and everything. It's just, I don't know, as a comedy, I found myself quite bored. So I gave this 2.5 stars. Kevin Hart, let me explain. Now, I love Kevin Hart. His comedies, like the last ones he did, I love those. I watched them more than once, a few of them. This one was okay. I gave it 3.25 stars, but definitely one of his weakest, I would say. Lastly, for the comedies I've watched, You Magnificent Beast. I gave it 3 stars. It was okay, and I thought his way of talking and like moving on stage was really funny and approachable, but overall it was just okay. I've really never watched these, and yeah, I didn't laugh out loud or like probably not even smiled a lot. So yeah, 3 stars. The first one I've watched was The Wheel of Fortune, it's called. I watched it in Italy, so it was in Italian, and I hate watching movies translated because I can feel that the voice is not the one of the actors. I don't know how, I just hate it, so that might have taken out of enjoyment of this movie. The premise of this was about Justin Timberlake basically was playing this young lifeguard that basically gets in an affair with a woman who's already married, and it was okay. Yeah, at the end I didn't really like it. No, I think it was just a miss for me. I think it was kind of a romantic drama, which I'm not really into, and there was nothing special for me to make it stand out from other romantic drama I've ever seen. So this is not famous that I know of. I just, like, my mom had it like on Sky, so I watched it, and in the end it was like 2 hours for these, so yeah, 2 stars. Then I downloaded one movie from Netflix and watched it on my iPad, and that was Dirty Grandpa with Zac Efron and Robert De Niro. Why? Like, why 2 actors would do such a comedy? I have no idea. It was full of sexual jokes, kind of dirty, and like there was not really a plot. It's kind of like American Pie, that kind of genre, which is not my genre. It's not comedies in movies that I enjoy at all. Maybe if you like those, you will enjoy these. For me, it was 1.5 stars just because the actors are really good. I have no idea how they ended up doing a movie like that. I honestly have no idea. But I will just pretend that I never watched it. Zack and Robert, we are good. I'll erase it, okay? Then I watched Roma. Now, Roma is on Netflix and it's really popular movie, popular because it won some awards. The problem, I think, when you go in a movie like this, knowing how hyped it is and how many people have told me that it was amazing, is that hardly ever lives up to the hype. And now this movie, it's character driven. It takes place in Mexico and it's all about basically this family, and you follow the maid of this family. And although like important things happened in the movie, especially to our protagonist who is the maid, still feels like every day. It feels really long, detailed, and so for some that's amazing. What I found amazing was the scenography, the way every like frame and how it was basically directed, and like the camera angles and all of the stuff. It was beautiful. It was kind of black and white, kind of. So you had like not many colors in it, so I think it was beautifully directed. My problem with it was that basically this movie, it's about one of my worst pet peeves. It's just like when something happens like that in movies or in books and it's done for like hurting you, because there are other reasons for that. If not, like I wanted you to like go in this movie and cry. When it's done like that, basically I kind of don't like it. I kind of hate it. It's like, it's a personal thing, so it touched like a soft spot which I didn't appreciate. So I hated that part of the plot. I hated the guy. Like I hoped in the end we had some kind of resolution or something for him. Like I wanted to see him suffer, and we didn't get anything of that. I did appreciate how it was tied up, like the last sentences that she said, like on the beach, on the last scene, that I appreciated it, and I understood more of the movie itself. But for me, it was still dull, and when something happened, oh god, you went there, which is like a no-no zone for me. So yeah, it's a mixed bag, so I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. Honestly, that's just me. It's probably a movie that deserves more, but it's not my cup of tea. It's not my genre of movies. When I go into movies, usually it's for entertainment and or for the story, and this was more about how it was directed, I guess. So yeah, I'm not enough movie buff, I guess, to appreciate that. Then I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is the sequel to Ant-Man, which I really loved. This one I liked, but not as much as the first one. I really enjoyed the ending because of the ties that it has with Avengers. So I really liked the ending. Although the movie was okay, I gave it 3.75 stars. I still had a good time. It was just nothing too special in my opinion. I appreciated the first one more because maybe the innovative thing about this little guy basically being a superhero. Probably because I'm a tiny girl, it made me dream like I could be a superhero. Like, you know, if Ant can be a superhero, why can't I? Then I watched Aquaman. I watched it again 2 times and it was not the greatest quality, so that probably took away from my enjoyment of the movie. The point with this movie is that I liked it, but if I have to describe it in few words, it would be, it's just like, you know, one of those ignorant American action movies, which are awesome because of the action and the scenography and the special effects. But the plot and some of the like dialogues and sentences they come up with, they're like, come on, like this is so cliche. So it was cliche in that sense. I still enjoyed it. The special effects are awesome. I like watching him because he's a masterpiece. She's beautiful, Amber Heard. But there were some bits like, I don't want to spoil it, so I cannot say, but I was like, come on guys, in the middle of a battle? Like, yeah, you know what I mean. It's just like, you know, your typical action American movie. Still good, still worth it, if you like those kind of movies. But if you're looking for any depth, yeah, 4 stars. Then I watched Searching, which is a movie that came out last year. This is another movie where the hype got to me, meaning that everybody like loved this movie and I liked it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed the format. Basically it's sold all through this computer, so through media, could be Facebook, could be FaceTime, could be emails. So it's a very innovative way of directing a movie, and that I really appreciated. And it's about basically this man looking for his daughter who disappeared out of the blue. Like one night she tried to call him, didn't pick up because he was asleep, and the next day she was gone. So it's about him retracing her steps through social media and any kind of technology means he has to find his daughter. So I think it's totally worth it. It's a movie that deserves to be watched and many will love it. And I also appreciated like the mystery of it, like the thriller aspect, but it is also what left me kind of okay. I don't know, it didn't like blow my mind. I was expecting it to be like a huge revelation, and it was like something that I didn't see coming, but I was just like okay, but how could we ever, like, you know what I mean? It was just innovative. I didn't see it coming, but yeah, it didn't make too much sense in my mind. I don't know how to explain. So yeah 3.5 stars. Probably it's more 75 stars. Definitely worth it. Then I watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is an animation, came out this year, and it's an animation by Spider-Man. And I don't want to spoil the movie, but basically Miles Morales, for a series of events, finds himself with other Spider-Mans from other universe coming to his universe and having to save the world. So it was really well done. I love the soundtrack, which I think everybody mentions because it's really good, and I love the animations. I really liked it. I gave it 4.25 stars. Now Spider-Man is not my favorite superhero, and it's hard for me to surpass like the Amazing Spider-Man, like the duology, because I love that one so much for the depth he had and for the chemistry of the actors. I tend to compare every Spider-Man to that, but this is completely different. It's still really worth it. I was a bit hesitant about the animation things, but it's good. It's good. I enjoyed it. And then last movie I watched was the Breakfast Club. Finally, I managed to watch this, which was on Netflix, so I had no excuse. My mom was here, and one night we just watched it. She didn't get it at all, like, but she doesn't speak English, so she tried to read the subtitles, but she didn't get it, and she was just like, oh, this movie is shit. And I was like, Mom, no, you just didn't get it. It's genius. I really liked it. I think if I watched it when I was a teenager, or like if I watched it when it came out, 80s, I think, I would have blown my mind. I think I see why it's so popular and famous. And I still think it's relevant because it's done like nowadays, like in our movies, we have maybe the same kind of message, but it's way more complicated. Instead, in this movie, it was really simply put, basically. So you have this bunch of kids that got detention because they did something, that you discover why they're there, and during detention, basically, they connect, and you see how, you know, the football player is not only that, and how the geek is not only that, and the crazy one, she has a story behind, so the princess and the bad guy. So it was like it was a social commentary done in a really simplistic and yet effective way, in my opinion. So that's why I enjoyed it a lot. The final message, it's genius. It's so simple and yet so smart and true. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.25 stars, just because I think, you know, I am used to now having more like things in our movies, and still this movie is pretty simple, but I would not change it. I think it's a masterpiece of its time, and it's still worth watching it. I don't watch reality shows like all. The only one I watched, because that's my guilty pleasure, are like these usually Korean reality shows, and especially it's like reality shows where basically singers, dancers, rappers, they become a group. So that's the only kind of reality show that these days I'm watching, honestly. No, it's not kind of like American Idol. It's kind of different. I don't watch American Idol, and it's not a single person. It's like a format that I really enjoyed, and I love watching people sing and dance. But the only one I watched the whole this season is Under 19. So they basically did this reality, and they put together a group, South Korean group, and all the kids are under 19. So I was like, I'm old to watch these, but I still enjoy it. You are so talented, like amazing. And I really liked all the members of the final group. I always enjoy watching plus like talented people performing, and the quality of the performances is really high. So yeah, I watched just 3 documentaries this winter. The first one was The Hillside Murders, and this was on Amazon Prime, and it was just a 2 hours, not even that, documentary about the Hillside murders. And it was about this couple who kidnapped, raped and killed young children. Now, what I didn't appreciate about this was this: it was too short, not enough information were given. Like, it's not surprise, it's not spoiler, but basically why they are caught in the end is that they decide to involve the husband of her sister. So they pick up this 17-year-old guy, they brought him to their apartment, called the husband of the sister, not the sister, just the husband. He comes over and they are talking, and all of a sudden they kill the guy. So they axe him to death in front of the husband of her sister, of Mira. So, and then they put the body in a bed, and then they let the husband of the sister go, like saying, oh, now you are one of us, basically. And of course he goes home, calls his wife and say, yeah, we have to go to the police. Police go there, we found the body, and yeah, they're caught. The documentary doesn't give any explanation on why they thought this was a good idea. Maybe they never explained. But I mean, the guy who is in a mental hospital because he was deemed probably too fucking insane to stay in a prison. But anyway, he's in England in a mental hospital, and he wrote even a book. So how come that the documentary couldn't like give us any idea why all of a sudden they were not getting caught? They kept getting like away with it. So they kept like kidnapping little children, raping them. They voice recorded the rape. They took pictures, and then one day they would do something like that, like involving a third party. Like, how could you not understand that was gonna be the end of it? Also, they took a lot of pictures like on the graves, like so. It's called the Hillside Murders because they dumped the bodies on the hills. Not every body was found. And so they used to like take pictures, like trophies on the graves. Like, you don't see the graves, but it's near them. Also, like, the police made the parents hearing the tapes, and it was like, come on, like, you really need the mother to hear all the tape of the girl. It's not, the tape is not on the documentary, of course. But the pictures, one or two maybe are, and I was like, why would you like put the parents under there? It's clearly her. So yeah, I didn't like how the police handled things. It was a no for me. I think it was not well done and not enough developed, and it just lacked a lot of things. Then on the contrary, I watched the Ted Bundy tapes on Netflix. This was a 5 parts documentary. Every part was like around 2 hours long or 1 hour and something. It was really well done. So he played the tapes of Ted Bundy talking with a psychologist, I think, or a journalist. I think a journalist. So you hear Ted Bundy talk about his crimes, or avoid talking about his crimes, I would better say. But it's in depth. So from the start, from his childhood to each like murder, and each victim is given a face, their story, and you know, his escapes twice. It's appalling to see how the police like wrongdoing caused other people to get killed and raped. So that was appalling. But it was, as a documentary, it was really well done, really in depth. You kind of freaking hate the guy by the end of it, but that's the point. Also, like, many say that Ted Bundy is one of the most freaking genius serial killer out there. I don't know, maybe because I've known a few people like were psychopaths in real life, and I'm like, he was clearly full of it and full of shit, and he was not as smart as he thought, because of course he couldn't suppress his instincts enough to get away with it. Yes, he would escape, not because he was a genius, just because the police lacked control of the situation. And of course, when he was out, he would commit rapes and killings because he was not able whatsoever to control his impulses, and automatically would get back in prison. But one time he was caught because he was in a car, and just the police like sign him over, like, drive over, I just need to check my documents. It was not like a situation where the policeman could know already who he was. And then instead he speed off. Like, of course the police is gonna follow you, and then they're gonna arrest you, and then they find out that you are Ted Bundy and the people in Seattle are looking for you, for example. So how can you be so freaking smart? And then, like, you know, when they stop you for a ticket or they stop you for speeding and they have no idea who you are because you're in a different state, you just speed off so they like follow you and then at that point arrest you. It's just so yeah, I was not so sold about him. He's this freaking genius. But back in the days where maybe serial killer were not really a thing, or they were just getting started to know and their psychology and so on, maybe it was seen as that. But the documentary is really well done, 4.5 stars. And the last one I watched was Abducted in Plain Sight. This is just 2 hours documentary about this girl who is kind of abducted by a family friend, and he basically convinces her to have intercourse with him throughout many years, and he convinces her that she's in love with him. So she is abducted, but then she gets back home and she keeps going with him for many years. She's convinced the alien will take her otherwise. The parents are horrible. I didn't like this. I think it's interesting to see how a guy like that could exist, but, and that's just my opinion, but they were a fucking moron for like letting him doing it. No parents would actually allow something like this happening, and no 15 years old would still believe that aliens would fucking kidnap you. Now, that's something that's just my opinion. So I believe that she believed that. I believe that she did it like with her best intention at heart, and she didn't really realize what was going on, and maybe even the parents. But there is a point where being fucking stupid is harmful and it's not justification anymore. At the same time, it allows the people who watch that to realize how ignorance and how certain people can take advantage of that. So yeah, but overall I didn't like this one. I probably give it 2.5 stars, something like that. So the first one I watched was You. This is taken by a book by Caroline Kepner, something like that. It's the TV show adaptation. I liked the book, but I preferred the TV show a lot. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4.5 stars. And the premise is that this guy who works in a bookshop and becomes obsessed with this girl. So you follow a very romantic story, but there's a lot going on there, and it's definitely a thriller for adult TV show. I saw the end coming, so that's why it took like a 0.5 out. But the way it was like engaging each episode, and the way from the book was like put on screen, it was amazing. Actors, great job. She is actually in the TV show more likable than in the book. The books I hated her, so I couldn't care less, and in the TV show I was more invested. So definitely I'm gonna watch season 2. Well done. Then I watched The Haunting of Hill House. This is a horror TV show, but it's really, I think, I mean, you can watch it. I mean, I'm a chicken when it comes down to horror, and I could handle this, so I didn't have any nightmares or anything like that. So it's doable, I think. If you've read the book, basically this is the events later, basically. So this family who happens to live in the Haunting of Hill House moves out of the house because something really bad happens, and then it's about their lives later, basically 20 years later, and it's different from the book. It's really different. There are just a few points that match, but I enjoyed it for how it was a character-driven story. It was really interesting, the character history, although I would have preferred more about the house, and instead we got the last 3 episodes or something like that. So it could be a little bit dragging on a little bit, some episodes. Some other episodes were really good. 2 episodes I binge watched them. I couldn't stop watching. It's a good one. It's well directed, but it's character driven, so it is a slow one. It might be for everyone. It's kind of meh for me, these slow kind of TV shows, but I still got through it, and 4 stars. Then I watched Outlander season 4. I love this. Now I will have to read the books before I can watch season 5, as with the books I'm up to here basically. But I love this one. Is slow sometimes, but it's one where the scenery and the characters, they have such a chemistry, and it's such an interesting atmospheric one that I don't care. Like, I will watch it at till the end of the days, it's really for adult ones, so it goes in places where it's sometimes hard to watch, so be aware of that. But I love for how realistic it is. I love everything about this. I gave it 4.5 stars. I don't like Roger, so yeah, I don't like that couple. I like her, but I don't like Roger. I don't want to say who Roger is, but I don't like him. And this is based on the books of Lander, and the first book / first series, Claire goes back in time and she falls in love with a Scotland Highlander in the 16th century. In the present days, it's just post World War II. So yeah, it's amazing. Like, if you don't want to read the books, which are huge but really well written, so I suggest that. But if you don't want to, the series, it's worth it. The costumes, the atmosphere, the realistic parts, and Jamie. Yes, let's move on. Watched The Umbrella Academy on Netflix. I was not expecting to love this one as much as I did. This is taken from a comic book, and the premise of this is that basically on a day, 20 years or 30 years before the TV show starts, these boys and girls are born, but the problem is that the mothers were not pregnant in the morning. So these kids just come out of the blue, and there is this professor who goes and collects 7 of them. You follow like 30 years later, when basically they had all gone their own way and they have to come back at the Umbrella Academy because the professor / their dad is dead. So yeah, that's where it starts, and it's really well done. I loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I think it could be a 4.75 stars. It was so good. There are a couple of characters that I don't really care about, a couple of plot points where we're kind of like dragging a little bit just because I didn't care about the characters, but apart from that, I loved it. The action, the conclusion, it's one that you really have to think of. And I like how damaged they are. Like, they are superheroes, but they're really dark and really fucked up people. I love them. And the ending is good. I did see the big twist a little bit coming, so that's one other reason why I couldn't give it 5 stars, but the way then they went about it and they resolved things, brilliant. It's a good one. I don't watch like superheroes TV shows. Like, I don't like them. They're kind of repetitive. This one is not. This one doesn't follow the typical plot where each like episode has like a bad guy and they have to defeat the bad guy in next episode again. No, this is like a fucked up superheroes, really twisted people preventing the end of the world. So it's a good one. Then I watched Westworld season 2. Loved this one as well. Love this one so much. I gave this probably 4.5 as well. It is low, but it's so genius. The premise of this one is that in the first season you start off by knowing that basically in a future society, people can go to this park called Westworld, where they can live an adventure like they were living in the Far West back in the day, cowboy adventures. And there are people inside this Westworld who are actually like, they look like people, they talk and they act like normal people, but they are actually artificial intelligence being. I don't want to say anything else. I want to say, but I think that's enough. Anthony Hopkins is in this freaking TV show. I mean, if Anthony Hopkins said yes to do a TV show, there is a freaking reason. I've not heard many people talk about this one, but I think it's because it's such a complicated one. It's one that you have to put your mind on it. You cannot just like watch your phone and like then, oh god, you lost that beat and then you're fucked up for the rest of the series. So you have to really pay attention. It can drag because it's such a complicated story that has a lot to tell basically, and I think the way you sometimes build a story is also showing like slow parts of everyday life or slower bits about the characters, but it's genius. And like you don't see things coming, and when they come, they're really surprisingly in a good, like, oh god, that's such a twist way, because there are some twists that you didn't see coming, but then when they happen you don't care. In this one you're like, whoa, you're really invested. Usually I was, at least. Cannot recommend this enough. Season 2 is as good as season 1. And then lastly, for winter, I watched How to Get Away with Murder season 5. Favorite of mine. I love Shonda Rhimes. Apart from Scandal, I didn't get into that one. I don't know why. But this one, The premise of the first season is that you follow a bunch of law students that go to work for Annalise Keating, who is a penalist lawyer. She's really famous, but she takes on cases which are really difficult, and let's say that she can get the bad guy go away with it. She's so good. And mayhem ensue. It's such a character driven and yet full of twists and turns, and I loved it. I think, of course, but I think they are getting toward the end, so you know, you don't have too many characters, so there is so much shit that can happen at that one point. But Annalise, her story, it's heartbreaking. Like, I think she's such a strong, amazing character. I love all the characters, and the twist, like at the end it was like, come on, you cannot let me wait a year like this is mean. It's one of those kind of TV shows. And I love the fact that basically in most seasons you have at the start of the episodes, like, you see a scene of something that happens, and then you go back and say, oh, 3 months earlier, and you have to go and find out who's dead or what happened. So you have these bits of pieces, and every time, like, it's a cliffhanger, so it can be annoying, but at the same time I think it keeps you so engaged and you really want to know. I think that's because you get invested. I mean, I did, and I think it's one of those who is heartwarming, wrenching, and smart, and it's just, she's amazing at doing characters. I think Shonda Rhimes, I think she can create these people that feel so real. Sometimes I say, how can you guys be in such a situation? Like, no one has such a life. But that's the point, you know, you're just there for the enjoyment. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any suggestion about something that I should watch in spring. If you're new, I would love for you to subscribe, so hit the button down below. I hope you have a good night, day, depending on where you are. See you next time. Ciao!